The interstellar research station Horizon 7 drifted silently through the vast darkness of the Orion Arm, a marvel of human engineering that defied the conventional limitations of space exploration. Constructed from adaptive metamaterials that could self-repair and reconfigure, the station represented humanity's most ambitious project of multicultural cooperation. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the central observation deck, her dark eyes scanning the holographic displays that mapped the intricate social dynamics of the station's diverse inhabitants. As the chief xenosocial coordinator, she understood better than anyone the delicate balance required to maintain peace among species that had evolved on vastly different worlds. The station hummed with a unique energy, a symphony of alien languages and technological harmonies that would have been impossible to imagine just decades earlier. Luminescent communication nodes pulsed along the curved walls, translating conversations in real time across dozens of linguistic matrices. Beings from 12 different star systems moved through the corridors, some floating, some walking, some using complex gravitational assistance devices that looked like living sculptures of light and motion. Near a maintenance junction, David Chen adjusted a quantum stabilization node, his movements precise and calculated. To the casual observer, he appeared to be nothing more than a routine technician, his worn jumpsuit and practical boots suggesting years of thankless technical work. But there was something else. A subtle awareness in his movements, a hint of potential that lay carefully concealed beneath a veneer of ordinariness. The station's design was a testament to human ingenuity. Unlike the rigid, single-purpose structures of most alien civilizations, Horizon 7 adapted constantly. Entire sections could reconfigure within minutes, responding to environmental needs, diplomatic requirements, or scientific necessities. Walls shifted like living membranes, creating spaces that could transform from research laboratories to diplomatic chambers, from medical facilities to cultural exchange zones. A group of Meridian delegates passed by, their translucent exoskeletons catching the soft ambient lighting. They conversed in a complex language of color and vibrational frequencies, their communication a dance of light and subtle molecular shifts. A human translator nearby wore a sophisticated neural interface that allowed near-instantaneous interpretation, bridging gaps that would have seemed impossible just a generation ago. Elena watched a holographic display tracking potential diplomatic tensions. The current mission was delicate, mediating a resource-sharing agreement between the silicon-based Zorn Collective and the energy-dependent Meridian Alliance. Decades of research had gone into understanding the complex ecological and economic needs of these radically different species. David completed his maintenance work, his fingers moving with a musician's precision across the quantum stabilization controls. A senior Zorn engineer passed by, barely acknowledging his presence. To the crystalline alien, David was just another human worker, invisible and unremarkable. But invisibility was often the most powerful form of observation. The station's central computer, an advanced artificial intelligence named Horizon, continuously analyzed millions of data points. It tracked everything from molecular interactions to complex social dynamics, its processing capabilities far beyond any previous computational system. Horizon understood something that most inhabitants of the station did not: the true potential of human adaptability. A soft chime indicated an incoming diplomatic transmission. Elena's neural implant activated, projecting a series of contextual information directly into her visual cortex. The Zorn Collective was preparing for a critical negotiation, and the slightest miscommunication could trigger interstellar tensions. David finished his work and moved to a secondary maintenance station. His movements were deliberate, each step calculated with an awareness that suggested training far beyond typical technical work. To most, he was just another face in the station's diverse workforce. But Elena had noticed something different, a potential that remained carefully hidden. The observation deck continued its silent vigil, a microcosm of interstellar cooperation balanced on the edge of a knife. Humanity's greatest achievement was not its technological prowess, but its ability to create understanding where none seemed possible. Here, in this floating marvel of engineering and diplomacy, the future of galactic relations was being written, one careful interaction at a time. Unaware of the tensions about to unfold, David Chen continued his work, a quiet guardian in a complex dance of civilizations. The diplomatic chamber of Horizon 7 existed as a masterpiece of interstellar negotiation engineering. Adaptive molecular walls shifted their transparency and acoustic properties, creating an environment that could simultaneously accommodate the radically different sensory inputs of multiple species. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the chamber's central mediation point, her neural interface humming with streams of real-time cultural and linguistic data. The Zorn Collective's representatives towered at the far end of the chamber, crystalline beings whose bodies refracted light like impossible geometric sculptures. Their lead diplomat, Ambassador Krullenx, stood nearly 3 meters tall, his silicon-based form shifting with subtle molecular vibrations that communicated complex emotional states invisible to most biological observers. Opposite the Zorn delegation, the Meridian Alliance representatives presented a stark contrast. Composed of energy-based life forms that maintained physical cohesion through sophisticated electromagnetic fields, they appeared as shimmering columns of light and electromagnetic potential. Their lead negotiator, Lumina 7, existed as a carefully controlled fusion of electromagnetic frequencies that could communicate across multiple sensory spectrums. The negotiation concerned a critical resource-sharing agreement involving rare quantum-stabilizing minerals found in a disputed sector of the Outer Rim. These minerals were essential for faster-than-light communication technologies, making the stakes extraordinarily high. Elena's neural interface parsed multiple layers of communication simultaneously. The verbal exchanges were merely the surface. Beneath that, complex cultural contextual markers, biochemical stress responses, and subtle electromagnetic fluctuations told a far more complex story of potential conflict. The mineral extraction protocols proposed by the Meridian Alliance demonstrate a fundamental misunderstanding of ecological preservation. Ambassador Krullenx communicated, his crystalline form producing a series of precise light refractions that translated into complex linguistic concepts. Lumina 7 responded through a series of electromagnetic pulses that the station's advanced translation systems converted into spoken language. Our proposed extraction methods have been developed with multi-species ecological considerations as a primary directive. The tension in the room was palpable. David Chen, physician near a maintenance access panel, observed the negotiation with a deceptively casual attitude. To anyone watching, he appeared to be performing routine technical maintenance. His hands moved precisely across a quantum stabilization control panel, but his attention was fully focused on the diplomatic exchange. Station intelligence systems monitored the negotiation with unprecedented detail. Horizon, the station's artificial intelligence, analyzed millions of data points per second, tracking micro-expressions, biochemical shifts, electromagnetic variations, and the most minute potential indicators of diplomatic breakdown. A subtle miscommunication began to develop. The Zorn's method of expressing diplomatic disagreement involved complex light refraction patterns that the Meridian delegates misinterpreted as a potential threat display. Elena recognized the developing problem moments before it could escalate, her neural interface highlighting potential conflict resolution strategies. But some tensions cannot be contained by diplomacy alone. Ambassador Krullenx's crystalline form began to vibrate with increasing intensity. The station's environmental systems registered a rapid increase in molecular stress, indicating a potential aggressive response. Elena's neural interface flashed multiple warning indicators, suggesting an imminent breakdown in communication protocols. David's hands paused momentarily on the maintenance panel. Something in his posture shifted, almost imperceptibly. A subtle tension that suggested preparedness beyond typical technical staff capabilities. The moment stretched like an electromagnetic field about to discharge. Lumina 7's electromagnetic form began to compress, a defensive posture that in Meridian culture signaled an imminent confrontational response. The station's diplomatic chambers had been designed to prevent physical conflict, but the rising tension suggested that technological safeguards might soon be tested. Elena activated a series of de-escalation protocols, her neural interface sending complex multi-spectrum communication signals designed to reduce diplomatic tension. But some forces move faster than diplomacy. Ambassador Krellanx's crystalline appendage began to shift, catching the specific light refraction that in Zorn culture represented an absolute statement of territorial challenge. To the Meridian delegates, it would appear as a sudden, aggressive movement. The diplomatic chamber held its breath, balanced on the razor's edge of potential interstellar incident. Unaware of the complex cultural misunderstandings about to unfold, David Chen remained at his maintenance station, a quiet guardian watching a potential storm gather. Time seemed to fracture in the diplomatic chamber. Ambassador Krellanx's crystalline appendage moved with impossible speed, a razor-sharp extension of molecular precision that caught the station's lighting in a prismatic explosion of refracted energy. The movement was both a communication and a threat, a complex linguistic gesture that in Zorn culture represented an absolute statement of territorial dominance. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's neural interface erupted with warnings. Millions of calculations processed in microscopic moments, predicting trajectories, analyzing potential outcomes, tracking the millisecond by millisecond progression of an interstellar incident about to unfold. The Meridian delegates reacted with the fluid motion of energy-based life forms. Lumina 7's electromagnetic field compressed and expanded, a defensive reaction that sent cascading waves of quantum interference through the diplomatic chamber. Station safeguards began to activate, molecular dampening fields, communication isolation protocols, emergency containment systems designed to prevent a potential multi-species conflict. Elena's position at the mediation point made her the direct target of the crystalline strike. Her body, fundamentally different from the alien delegates, represented the human element of this complex negotiation. The Zorn's attack was more than a physical movement. It was a calculated statement of cultural dominance. David Chen's maintenance station stood barely 30 meters from the diplomatic exchange. To the casual observer, he remained in the same position, hands resting on a quantum stabilization control panel, body language suggesting complete absorption in technical work. But something changed. The station's advanced sensor systems would later struggle to explain the sequence of events. Horizon, the station's artificial intelligence, would spend weeks analyzing microscopic data points, trying to understand how a single human could move with such precise, calculated efficiency. David's movement began before the crystal appendage completed its trajectory. Not a reaction, but a prediction, a mathematically precise calculation of potential threat that preceded the actual moment of impact. Time seemed to stretch and compress. Elena's neural interface captured everything. The molecular composition of the Zorn's crystalline limb, the exact gravitational vectors of the incoming strike, the precise electromagnetic interference patterns generated by the Meridian delegates' defensive responses. She understood, in that fractional moment, the complex cultural misunderstanding that had led to this point. The Zorn's communication was fundamentally different, a language of molecular movement, of precise geometric interactions that humans were only beginning to comprehend. The strike would have been devastating to most biological entities. The Zorn's crystalline appendage contained molecular structures capable of slicing through advanced ceramics, of generating localized quantum disruption fields that could neutralize most defensive technologies. But Elena was no ordinary human. Years of specialized training, neural augmentation, and diplomatic field experience had prepared her for scenarios that existed beyond conventional understanding. Her body moved with a precision that defied conventional human limitations. A complex series of micro-movements, shoulder rotation, spinal compression, quantum-assisted neural rerouting, transformed what should have been a fatal strike into a manageable impact. The crystal appendage would later be analyzed as having missed several critical biological weak points by microscopic margins. David's movement became a blur of calculated efficiency. The station's sensor logs would record only fragments, the displacement of air, a microscopic reconfiguration of gravitational vectors. The quantum stabilization panel David had been working on seemed to pulse with an unusual energy signature in the moment of his movement. Elena's body arced through the diplomatic chamber, a carefully controlled trajectory that minimized potential damage. Her neural interface continued to process, to analyze, to communicate, even in the moment of physical impact. The Zorn delegates froze. The Meridian representatives compressed their electromagnetic fields into defensive configurations. Station security systems prepared to engage multiple potential conflict scenarios, and David Chen remained precisely where he had been, seemingly absorbed in his technical work, yet fundamentally aware of every microscopic detail of the unfolding incident. The diplomatic chamber held its breath, suspended in a moment of potential interstellar conflict. Unaware of the complex dance of potential violence about to unfold, the station continued its silent journey through the darkness of space, a testament to human potential, to multicultural cooperation, to the delicate balance of interstellar diplomacy. The medical bay of Horizon 7 existed as a marvel of multicultural medical technology. Adaptive nano-interfaces lined the walls, capable of reconfiguring themselves to provide optimal medical support for dozens of different biological and energy-based life forms. Dr. Elena Rodriguez lay on a treatment platform that continuously adjusted its molecular structure to support her unique physiological needs. Horizon, the station's artificial intelligence, ran millions of diagnostic routines simultaneously. Medical nanobots moved through Elena's system, repairing microscopic cellular damage, analyzing the complex interaction between her enhanced neural implants and her biological systems. At the maintenance station outside the medical bay, David Chen appeared to be conducting routine system checks. His hands moved with practiced efficiency across quantum stabilization panels, each movement precise and calculated. To the casual observer, he was just another technical specialist, unremarkable, invisible. But invisibility was a skill David had mastered over years of specialized training. The station's security logs would later struggle to compile a coherent narrative of what happened after the diplomatic incident. Fragments of data suggested impossible movement patterns. Sensor records showed microscopic disruptions in gravitational fields. Communication logs indicated a series of encrypted transmissions that seemed to originate from multiple locations simultaneously. David's background was a carefully constructed narrative of deliberate obscurity. Official records showed a standard technical certification, years of routine maintenance work across various interstellar research facilities. But those who knew how to look understood that such a straightforward history was itself a form of camouflage. Elena's neural interface began to stabilize. The medical nanobots completed their initial repair sequences, sending complex diagnostic reports through the station's secure communication networks. Her enhanced neural pathways processed the diplomatic incident with a level of detail that far exceeded standard human perception. The Zorn delegation had been removed from the diplomatic chamber. Station security protocols had engaged, but something about the incident remained fundamentally unresolved. The attack was more than a simple diplomatic misunderstanding. It represented a critical breach of interstellar communication protocols. Horizon continued its analysis. The artificial intelligence compared millions of data points, searching for patterns, for explanations that went beyond the surface-level diplomatic tensions. David's maintenance work continued. A junior technician passed by, offering a routine greeting. David responded with a precise, measured acknowledgement that suggested years of practiced social camouflage. His body language spoke of someone thoroughly unremarkable, exactly as he intended. But unremarkable was a carefully constructed illusion. The medical bay's diagnostic systems continued to run advanced analysis on Elena's neural implants. Traces of specialized augmentation technology suggested training far beyond standard diplomatic preparation. Quantum entangled neural pathways, adaptive response systems that went beyond conventional human capabilities. Station security began their initial investigation. Senior investigators reviewed sensor logs, communication records, diplomatic transmission archives. Something about the incident didn't align with standard conflict resolution protocols. David's maintenance route took him near multiple critical station systems. To an untrained observer, his movements appeared random. But each panel he approached, each system he touched, represented a carefully calculated path of potential intervention. Horizon's processing systems began to correlate data from multiple sources. The diplomatic incident, Elena's physiological responses, David's maintenance routes, microscopic gravitational anomalies, encrypted communication fragments. A pattern began to emerge. The medical nanobots completed their initial diagnostic sequence. Elena's neural interface began to fully stabilize, bringing multiple layers of sensory input into focus. She understood, with a clarity that went beyond normal human perception, the complex web of interactions that had just unfolded. David Chen continued his maintenance work. Another routine day on an interstellar research station. But routine was another carefully constructed illusion. The station continued its silent journey through the darkness of space. Horizon 7 remained a testament to human potential, a floating marvel of technological and diplomatic achievement. Millions of kilometers from any planetary surface, a complex dance of potential and capability continued to unfold. Unaware of the deeper currents moving beneath the surface, the station's inhabitants went about their daily routines. The interrogation chamber of Horizon 7 represented the pinnacle of multicultural diplomatic technology. Adaptive molecular walls shifted their properties continuously, creating an environment that could simultaneously accommodate the radically different sensory inputs of multiple species. Holographic interfaces projected real-time translation matrices, while quantum entanglement sensors monitored every microscopic detail of communication. Ambassador Krellenx sat, or rather, existed, at the central interface point. The Zorn diplomat's crystalline form refracted light in complex patterns that represented emotional and linguistic nuances invisible to most biological observers. Station security specialists surrounded the ambassador, their advanced neural interfaces parsing every microscopic movement. Elena Rodriguez stood at the periphery of the interrogation chamber, her neural augmentations working at maximum capacity. The medical nanobots from her earlier treatment continued to enhance her cognitive processing, providing insights that went far beyond standard human perception. David Chen's maintenance route brought him incrementally closer to the interrogation chamber. To the casual observer, his movements appeared random. A routine technical inspection of various station systems. But each step was a carefully calculated approach, gathering information through the station's extensive sensor networks. Horizon, the station's artificial intelligence, processed millions of data points per second. The diplomatic incident was more than a simple misunderstanding. It represented a critical failure in interspecies communication protocols. The AI's quantum processing cores began to construct complex predictive models, analyzing potential outcomes with unprecedented precision. The incident was a standard territorial communication protocol. Ambassador Krellenx communicated through a series of precise light refractions and molecular vibrations. The station's advanced translation systems worked overtime to convert the complex communication into comprehensible language. Elena's neural interface caught the microscopic inconsistencies in the ambassador's communication. Something beneath the surface suggested a deeper motivation, a hidden layer of intent that went beyond the apparent diplomatic explanation. Station security specialists reviewed sensor logs from the diplomatic chamber. The attack on Elena appeared to be more than a simple miscommunication. Quantum interference patterns suggested a deliberate, calculated movement that defied standard Zorn communication protocols. David's maintenance work brought him closer to a critical communication junction. His hands moved with practiced efficiency across quantum stabilization panels, each touch gathering microscopic amounts of data. To the station's technical systems, he appeared to be nothing more than a routine maintenance specialist. But routine was another carefully constructed illusion. The interrogation continued. Ambassador Krellenx's crystalline form began to emit a complex series of molecular vibrations that suggested increasing stress. The station's advanced sensor systems detected microscopic changes in the ambassador's molecular structure. subtle shifts that indicated something beyond standard diplomatic tension. Elena's enhanced perception parsed the communication on multiple levels: linguistic patterns, molecular vibration frequencies, quantum entanglement signatures. Each layer revealed a more complex narrative than the surface-level diplomatic exchange. Horizon began to construct a comprehensive analysis. The diplomatic incident was a puzzle with multiple interconnected components: the Zorn's attack, Elena's response, David's position preparedness, microscopic gravitational anomalies, encrypted communication fragments. A pattern began to emerge. Station security specialists continued their investigation. Senior diplomatic analysts reviewed communication logs, searching for the deeper motivations behind the attack. Something about the incident suggested a level of complexity that went beyond a simple territorial dispute. David's maintenance route brought him incrementally closer to critical station systems. Each panel he approached, each system he touched, represented a carefully calculated path of potential intervention. To the station's technical systems, he remained invisible, just another maintenance specialist conducting routine work. Elena's neural interface continued to process the interrogation at multiple levels: linguistic analysis, emotional response tracking, quantum communication patterns. Each layer revealed additional complexity. The interrogation chamber hummed with potential energy. The Zorn ambassador's crystalline form continued to emit complex communication patterns. Station security specialists maintained their careful observation, parsing every microscopic detail. Horizon's quantum processing cores worked continuously, constructing and deconstructing potential scenarios with unprecedented speed and precision. The station continued its silent journey through the darkness of space, millions of kilometers from any planetary surface. A complex dance of diplomacy, technology, and hidden potential continued to unfold. Unaware of the deeper currents moving beneath the surface, the station's inhabitants went about their carefully constructed routines. The station's classified research wing existed as a marvel of technological possibility. Quantum isolation chambers lined pristine corridors, each capable of containing experiments that defied conventional understanding of physics, biology, and interstellar communication. Dr. Elena Rodriguez sat in a specially designed neural interface chamber. Holographic displays surrounded her, projecting complex data streams that represented multiple layers of the recent diplomatic incident. Her neural augmentations worked at maximum capacity, parsing information through quantum-entangled processing matrices that went far beyond standard human cognitive capabilities. David Chen's maintenance route brought him incrementally closer to the classified research wing. Each step was a carefully calculated movement, gathering microscopic amounts of data through the station's extensive sensor networks. To the casual observer, he remained unremarkable, just another technical specialist conducting routine work. But routine was a carefully constructed illusion. Horizon, the station's artificial intelligence, continued its relentless analysis. Quantum processing cores constructed and deconstructed potential scenarios with unprecedented speed and precision. The diplomatic incident was more than a simple misunderstanding. It represented a critical intersection of multiple complex systems. The station's senior diplomatic corps gathered in a secure conference chamber. Holographic displays projected real-time analysis of the incident with the Zorn delegation. Communication specialists from 6 different species worked together, attempting to unravel the complex motivations behind the attack. Elena's neural interface began to reveal deeper layers of information. The attack was not a random act of aggression. Microscopic data patterns suggested a carefully orchestrated series of events with motivations that went far beyond standard diplomatic tensions. David's maintenance work brought him closer to critical information junctions. His hands moved with practiced efficiency across quantum stabilization panels, each touch gathering additional layers of contextual data. The station's technical systems perceived him as nothing more than a routine maintenance specialist. But invisibility was a skill David had mastered over years of specialized training. The classified research wing held secrets that went beyond conventional understanding. Experimental neural interface technologies, Quantum communication prototypes. Adaptive biological augmentation systems that pushed the boundaries of human potential. Horizon's analysis began to reveal a more complex narrative. The diplomatic incident was a carefully constructed scenario, a test of multiple systems, of interspecies communication protocols, of human adaptive capabilities. Senior diplomatic analysts reviewed communication logs with increasing confusion. Something about the incident defied standard explanation. The Zorn's attack appeared to be more than a simple territorial challenge. Microscopic data patterns suggested a carefully orchestrated sequence of events. Belena's enhanced perception parsed the information on multiple levels. Linguistic patterns, molecular communication frequencies, quantum entanglement signatures. Each layer revealed a more intricate narrative than the surface-level diplomatic exchange. The station's security specialists continued their investigation. Sensor logs showed impossible movement patterns. Communication fragments suggested multiple layers of encrypted transmission. Something fundamental about the incident remained unresolved. David's position within the station's technical infrastructure allowed for unprecedented access. Each system he approached, each panel he touched, represented a carefully calculated path of potential intervention. To the station's technical systems, he remained invisible, just another maintenance specialist conducting routine work. Horizon's quantum processing continued to construct complex predictive models. The diplomatic incident was a puzzle with multiple interconnected components. The Zorn's attack, Belena's response, David's positioned preparedness, microscopic gravitational anomalies, encrypted communication fragments. A pattern began to emerge. The classified research wing hummed with potential energy. Experimental technologies pushed the boundaries of human understanding. Neural interfaces that could parse multiple layers of communication simultaneously. Quantum communication systems that defied conventional limitations. Belena's neural augmentations continued to process the incident with unprecedented depth. Each microscopic data point revealed additional layers of complexity. The attack was not what it appeared to be. It was a carefully constructed scenario with motivations that went far beyond simple diplomatic tension. The station continued its silent journey through the darkness of space, millions of kilometers from any planetary surface, a complex dance of diplomacy, technology, and hidden potential continued to unfold. Unaware of the deeper currents moving beneath the surface, the station's inhabitants went about their carefully constructed routines. But something fundamental had changed. A threshold had been crossed, a potential revealed that would reshape understanding of human capabilities. The diplomatic conference chamber of Horizon 7 transformed into a nexus of multicultural revelation. Representatives from 12 different star systems gathered, their forms as diverse as the vast universe they inhabited. Crystalline beings stood alongside energy-based life forms. Molecular constructs intermingled with organic entities, all united by a growing understanding that challenged their previous perceptions. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the chamber's central interface, her neural augmentations working at maximum capacity. The recent diplomatic incident with the Zorn Collective had become something far more significant, a moment of fundamental transformation in interstellar understanding. David Chen's maintenance route brought him strategically close to the conference chamber. To most observers, he appeared to be conducting routine technical support. His movements remained precise, calculated, almost invisible, a master of professional camouflage. Horizon, the station's artificial intelligence, processed billions of data points per second. The diplomatic incident was no longer just a conflict. It had become a critical moment of cross-species understanding. Quantum processing cores constructed complex models of potential interstellar communication breakthrough. The Zorn delegation's representative, Ambassador Krullenx, stood in a modified containment field. The crystalline being's molecular structure shifted with complex emotional patterns that previously had been incomprehensible to other species. Something fundamental had changed in the diplomatic dynamics. Senior diplomatic specialists from multiple star systems reviewed encrypted communication logs. Sensor data revealed layers of complexity that went far beyond traditional understanding of interspecies interaction. The attack on Alina had become a pivotal moment of revelation. The communication protocols we previously understood are fundamentally incomplete, announced Dr. Rodriguez, her neural interface projecting holographic data streams that illustrated the complex layers of the recent incident. Each projection revealed microscopic details of cultural misunderstanding, of communication barriers that went beyond simple linguistic differences. David's positioning allowed him access to critical station systems. Each quantum stabilization panel he touched gathered additional layers of contextual information. To the station's technical infrastructure, he remained just another maintenance specialist. Invisibility was his most effective tool. The Meridian Alliance representatives, beings of pure electromagnetic energy, compressed and expanded their form in patterns of collective agreement. Their communication, typically limited to precise frequency modulations, now incorporated complex multidimensional understanding gained from the incident. Horizon continued its relentless analysis. The diplomatic encounter was more than a simple conflict. It represented a critical breakthrough in interstellar communication. Predictive models suggested this moment would reshape diplomatic protocols across multiple star systems. Alina's enhanced perception parsed the conference on multiple levels: linguistic patterns, molecular communication frequencies, quantum entanglement signatures. Each layer revealed a more intricate narrative of potential understanding. Station security specialists reviewed sensor logs that defied conventional explanation: impossible movement patterns, encrypted communication fragments, microscopic gravitational anomalies. The incident had become a pivotal moment of scientific and diplomatic investigation. The conference chamber hummed with potential energy. Representatives from different star systems began to understand that communication was far more complex than previous diplomatic models had suggested. Cultural barriers were not obstacles. They were opportunities for deeper understanding. David's maintenance work continued. Each system he approached represented a carefully calculated path of potential intervention. His background, a carefully constructed narrative of deliberate obscurity, remained hidden beneath layers of professional routine. Ambassador Krellanx's crystalline form began to emit communication patterns that suggested a fundamental shift in understanding. The previous aggressive stance had transformed into something more nuanced, a recognition of communication complexity that went beyond simple territorial challenges. Horizon's quantum processing cores worked continuously, constructing and deconstructing potential scenarios with unprecedented speed and precision. The diplomatic incident was revealing layers of potential that challenged existing interstellar communication models. The station continued its silent journey through the darkness of space, millions of kilometers from any planetary surface, a complex dance of diplomacy, technology, and hidden potential continued to unfold. Unaware of the deeper currents moving beneath the surface, the station's inhabitants witnessed a moment of fundamental transformation. Something had changed. A threshold of understanding had been crossed that would reshape interstellar relations for generations to come. The universe watched and waited. The observation deck of Horizon 7 stretched across an entire section of the station, a vast transparent membrane that offered an uninterrupted view of the infinite darkness beyond. Stars glimmered like scattered diamond dust against the absolute blackness of space, a reminder of the vast unknown that humanity had slowly begun to understand. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the central observation point, her neural augmentations processing the complex aftermath of the recent diplomatic incident. The station hummed with a newfound energy, a collective understanding that transcended previous limitations of interstellar communication. David Chen approached, his movements as precise and calculated as always. To the casual observer, he remained just another technical specialist. But the recent events had revealed layers of potential that went far beyond routine maintenance. Horizon, the station's artificial intelligence, continued its relentless analysis. The diplomatic breakthrough represented more than a simple resolution of conflict. It was a fundamental transformation of interstellar understanding, a moment that would be studied for generations. The Zorn delegation's ambassador Krullenx had been transformed by the recent encounter. The crystalline being's molecular structure now vibrated with complex communication patterns that suggested a profound shift in perception. What had begun as an aggressive diplomatic incident had become a pivotal moment of mutual understanding. Station records would later show this as a critical turning point in interstellar relations. The attack on Elena had revealed something fundamental about human potential, an adaptive capability that went beyond traditional understanding of communication, conflict, and cooperation. Communication is not about language, Elena explained to a gathering of diplomatic specialists, her neural interface projecting holographic representations of the complex interaction. It's about understanding the fundamental patterns of perception, of potential. David's maintenance route brought him strategically close to critical station systems. Each quantum stabilization panel he touched gathered additional layers of contextual information. His background, a carefully constructed narrative of deliberate obscurity, continued to intrigue those who looked closely. The Meridian Alliance representatives, beings of pure electromagnetic energy, had discovered something profound. The human capacity for adaptive communication went beyond traditional technological or biological limitations. It was a form of intelligence that defied conventional categorization. Horizon's quantum processing cores constructed increasingly complex models of potential interstellar interaction. The incident was no longer viewed as a diplomatic conflict, but as a breakthrough in understanding the nature of communication itself. Senior diplomatic specialists from multiple star systems reviewed the encrypted communication logs. Sensor data revealed layers of complexity that challenged everything previously understood about interspecies interaction. The attack had become a moment of collective revelation. The station's classified research wing buzzed with excitement. Experimental neural interface technologies and quantum communication prototypes suggested that this was just the beginning of a fundamental transformation in understanding. Ambassador Krullenx's communication patterns now incorporated nuanced emotional and contextual layers that had been previously unimaginable for the Zorn species. The crystalline being had discovered something profound about the nature of communication, that it was more than a simple exchange of information. David's positioning within the station's technical infrastructure allowed for unprecedented insight. Each system he approached represented a carefully calculated path of potential intervention. His background suggested training that went far beyond standard technical specialization. Elena's enhanced perception continued to parse the complex layers of the recent encounter. Linguistic patterns, molecular communication frequencies, quantum entanglement signatures. Each layer revealed a more intricate narrative of potential understanding. The observation deck became a symbol of this new understanding. The vast darkness of space, once a barrier, now represented infinite potential. Humanity had discovered something fundamental about communication, about potential, about the nature of understanding itself. Station security specialists continued to investigate the microscopic details of the incident. Impossible movement patterns, encrypted communication fragments, microscopic gravitational anomalies. Each detail suggested a deeper layer of potential. Horizon's analysis suggested this was more than a diplomatic breakthrough. It was a fundamental transformation of interstellar understanding. The human capacity for adaptive communication had revealed a new model of interaction, one that went beyond traditional technological or biological limitations. The station continued its silent journey through the darkness of space, millions of kilometers from any planetary surface, a complex dance of diplomacy, technology, and hidden potential continued to unfold. As the stars continued their ancient dance, humanity had taken another step into the infinite unknown, not through force, but through understanding. The universe watched and waited.